Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as you guys know, the off season, we're currently in the off season, but some various popular shows are going to start to make their return. As you guys know, Undisputed is going to be making its return on August 28th, and there's some big news there that they were able to acquire Richard Sherman for about 50 to 100 shows per year. We also heard some news out there that they're looking to acquire Keyshawn Johnson as well, to bring him onto the show as a contributor. So there's a lot of things happening in the sports world. Of course, they laid off a litany of people working at ESPN. Now, as you guys know, one of the faces of ESPN, or one of the younger faces at ESPN, is JJ Redick. JJ Reddick came onto the network and he immediately made a splash. He came on there with his podcast, The Old Man and the Three, which is a very, very successful show. So he went on there, and as a matter of fact, when the news first came out, we talked about it on our channel and expressed our excitement about having JJ Reddick be a part of the ESPN team or whatever it is. So anyway, he's gone there. He's made a lot of waves. He's made a name for himself. He's had some pretty contentious moments with Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, Chris Mad Dog Russo, somebody that's quite opinionated, not willing to back down from anyone, is pretty pro player, but for the most part, he's quite analytical whenever he's given his views. So that's the kind of the background on JJ Reddick. So as you guys know, the most recent cut at ESPN in terms of high profile names was Mark Jackson. Now, Mark Jackson formed the trio of, the NBA games when they covered games with Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen. When Jeff Van Gundy was let go of, I think a lot of us were very, very surprised. And then they let go of Mark Jackson, and a lot of us were like, oh my goodness, what's happening here? To the point where even Mike Breen, who covers games with Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, said he feels like this thing ended too soon and he wished it could have lasted a little bit longer. Then Michelle Beadle, who was formerly employed at ESPN, pointed out the fact that ESPN doesn't allow us talent to work together long enough and really marinate to really get to the level that they need to be at. And she compared them to the trio there of Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal inside the NBA. So we know that's happening. So this morning, I was going through the internet, and I came across an article from Front Office Sports. And Front Office Sports essentially was covering some comments that JJ Reddick made about ESPN letting go of Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. So that's really the article that we want to delve into here today. But before we get into that article, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into this article here. It starts off with the headline: ESPN's JJ Reddick, NBA coverage will be weird without Van Gundy and Jackson. Continues on. Play-by-play man Mike Breen will be without his longtime partners Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson next NBA season after ESPN's layoffs impacted the iconic broadcast duo. ESPN is still trying to figure out who will replace them in the booth, as the network's A-team for NBA games with Doris Burke and Doc Rivers considered to be top candidates. JJ Redick, the former sharpshooter who joined ESPN as an analyst in 2021, shortly after his NBA retirement, believes next season's NBA broadcast on ESPN and ABC will be, to quote, a little weird. He spoke to Front Office Sports while appearing at a basketball camp in Hamptons organized by the program, a startup looking to revive New York City's youth basketball structure. It's going to be a little bit weird for sure. I felt like Mark Jackson and Jeff and Mike is such an iconic team, and they've been on the call for so many historic moments, at least historic moments in my generation. So it's going to be weird. Reddick told Front Office Sports, I think anytime something like this happens, we made cuts in March that were sort of off-air talents on the production side. I just feel for the people and wish them the best. It sucks. It's my first time in this world going through this cycle. It hurts to see people you work with and care about lose their jobs. Most of them will be fine. And then the article then goes on to discuss one or two other things that he was talking about there. So you heard his comments. I think what JJ Redick said is what a lot of people feel. It is going to be weird because we've grown accustomed to having these gentlemen cover these games for so long. And to be quite honest with you, both of them were memorable in their own ways, including Mike Breen. Mark Jackson is hand down, man down, mama, that's a bad man. This ain't no secret, but that's one bad. Like, Mark Jackson is just iconic. Then, of course, you have Jeff Van Gundy with his classic rants going off about the rules and all of these different things. I mean, how do you get rid of these guys who I believe spoke to a lot of the things that NBA fans thought while watching games? For example, like the flopping. Jeff Van Gundy cannot stand flopping. And he would always call out players that flopped. He would always call out the NBA for rewarding players that flopped. He was also one of the few people out there that spoke about how big men were unfairly fouled all the time. And if they didn't sell the foul, they wouldn't get the foul. There's no other sports commentator covering NBA games that have these views. And in my opinion, this is what makes them unique. The same thing with Charles Barkley. He's really the only one that has those type of views in that particular type of way. So whenever you get rid of these type of people, it's going to surprise a lot of people. Now, what's interesting is that this is someone that works with the network. And they're saying this. So I thought JJ Redick's take was refreshing. I thought it was honest. And I felt like if he had said anything otherwise, people would have looked at him and be like, JJ, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So to me, I think he's 100% on the money. As you guys heard, they're looking to replace those two gentlemen with Doris Burke, who's also very good, and Doc Rivers, who I haven't heard cover an NBA game in maybe 10 years. It's been Doc Rivers must have the best agent in the entire business, because Doc Rivers is never unemployed for more than 15 minutes, man. He gets fired from this team. I mean, the moment he got fired from the Clippers, you're like, the Philadelphia 76ers are looking for the services of Doc Rivers. And in the minute he gets fired from the Philadelphia 76ers, Doc Rivers is now looking for a job. I'm like, how the hell does he do this so quickly? But hey, that's just the way it goes. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about what JJ Redick had to say? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.